In two of these cases, the petitioners, including members of Parliament G.L. Peris, Ranjit Manduma Bandara, Dayasiri Jayasekara and M.A. Sumandiran, had asked for a decision from the Supreme Court ordering the National Elections Commission to proceed with the elections. The case was taken up before Supreme Court Justices S. Thurai Raja, A.S.M.D. Nawaz and Shiran Gunaratne. In both of these cases, the National Elections Commission submitted to court that they are indeed proceeding with the elections. The Supreme Court then dismissed both petitions on the grounds that as the National Elections Commission is proceeding with the elections, there is no requirement for court to issue an order for it to do so. In the third case, retired Colonel WMR Vijay Sundara is seeking an order to suspend all activities with regard to the elections. Opposing counsel submitted to court that the documentation filed by the petitioner in this case was incomplete. Court ordered that the documentation be completed and postponed the case until the 23rd of February.
The people of this country have now reached some degree of stability in economic terms. The decision to suddenly hold an election at a time like this will be a massive cost to the country. Also, around 20,000 police officers have retired since January this year. Is it possible to ensure security under these circumstances? I believe it would be wiser to postpone this election until Sri Lanka reaches a position where economically we can breathe again. That is why I submitted this petition.
The parties who submitted petitions to hold the polls commented.
Knowing well that they are heading for defeat, Ranil Wickremesinghe and the Podujana Peramuna government were trying to hide in fear, but we express our appreciation for the independence displayed by the National Election Commission. Chairman of the National Election Commission, Attorney Nimal Punjiheva, speaking to Newsfirst, said that the NEC is continuing with its preparations for the local government election. The NEC has already announced that the postal voting will take place on the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of February. The NEC chairman said that discussions are underway with the Treasury to obtain the necessary funding for the local government election. Attorney Nimal Punjiheva said that 100 million rupees was already provided and another 300 million rupees is necessary by the 25th of February.
In front of the court, the Elections Commission has confirmed that they are proceeding with the elections and they are going to hold the election on 9th March. So that's a good side of this case. Based on that, that group has withdrawn their case. That's number one. Number two, the other groups or other individuals, this army officer who was asking to postpone the elections based on the economic crisis. It postponed until 23rd of February. But at the meantime, election, there is no such a stay order. So the election will proceed as it is.
All these matters with regard to the holding of the local government election was discussed in the Supreme Court. And the petitioner had wanted this election be held. The elections commissioner comes to court and says, no, we are going to hold the election. So therefore, the Supreme Court came to the conclusion that need for a mandamus, a writ of mandamus, that does not arise because the Commissioner of Elections have come and said that he is going to hold the elections. So presently, the status quo remains that the elections have to be held. If someone is trying to come and say that there is no money, under Article 104 of the Constitution, all government bodies are bound to help to have the franchise for the elections and to keep the elections. So today, with this decision, with this undertaking, there is no way that the court can give something else because another case has been filed. The court has come to an undertaking. The Elections Commissioner has given an undertaking. They are going to hold it.
I think the verdict of the Supreme Court today is to be entirely welcomed. We need elections in this country. We need the whole system to let off steam and so people can express their opinion since the Aragalaya. But we know that there is another verdict that has to come. I think it's on the 23rd of February with regard to the petition that was filed to the court, asking the court to rule that there should not be elections. So we have to await that verdict as well. But this is an entirely welcome decision of the court.
They can no longer sell us the story of not having funds. If anyone from the Treasury or the Finance Ministry says that they have no money, that will be considered as contempt of court. If they try to do something to undermine the Supreme Court decision, we will file a contempt of court charge with the court. The government and the finance ministry had produced an affidavit. They did not state that they cannot provide the money. They only mentioned the difficulties. However, when a Supreme Court order is given, the central bank and finance minister are bound to release the funds.
ඡන්දේ තියන්න කියලා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මහා බැංකුවයි මුදල් ලබාත්‍යාශය බැදී ඉන්නවා ඒ අවශ්‍ය මුදල් ලබා දෙන්න.
Far from holding election rallies, the actual state of affairs is that the present government is not even able to do house-to-house canvassing. This is why they were determined to bring the entire election machinery to a grinding halt. In order to achieve their objective, they used an original theory. That is, elections are going to be held in future in Sri Lanka, not according to time frames that are stipulated by the constitution and the law, but only when financial resources can be allocated for holding elections by the treasury. Now, if this argument was allowed to succeed in respect of the local government election, I can assert with total confidence that next year the presidential election will not take place. The same strategy will be used. A government that is fully convinced of its gross unpopularity will be able to use this argument to avoid any election at all. That would have been a calamity for basic democratic values. And that is a disaster from which we have been able to save this country as a result of 23 different political parties and groups acting in unison to stultify this mischievous endeavor on the part of the government. We can now assert with confidence that this election will definitely take place on the 9th of March. There's no shadow of doubt about it.